What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, undefeated three-division world champion, former junior welterweight, undisputed world champion, currently the WBO welterweight world champion, widely considered the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, Terence Bud Crawford, responds to undefeated, unified WBC IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, Errol Spence Jr., saying that if a future fight, which is considered, this fight first and foremost is considered the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. Errol Spence Jr. says if this fight does come to fruition, he stated that it's going to be 60-40 in his favor because he's doing all the heavy lifting. He is the biggest star. It's proven. He said the proof is in the pudding. All you have to do is look at the pay-per-view numbers, which is very, very true. Terence Crawford has fought on pay-per-view twice now. He fought Victor Postyle and he fought Amir Khan. And they didn't do huge numbers, right? I believe the Victor Postyle fight did about 70,000 pay-per-views and the Amir Khan fight did 100,000 payper-views, something of that nature. Errol Spence against Mikey Garcia, 4-division world champion, Mexican superstar boxer. He did 350,000 pay-per-views. And then in victory, then he fought 2-time welterweight world champion, superstar boxer, Showtime Sean Porter. And in that fight, it did 325,000 reported views. And now he's going into a showdown December 5th against 2-division world champion, former junior welterweight, unified world champion, and former WBC welterweight world champion, Danny Swift Garcia. And this is a fight, excuse me. This is a fight, excuse me, people. Pardon me. This is a fight that has a lot of intrigue and a lot of curiosity surrounding it due to the fact that Errol Spence suffered a horrific car accident just 12 days after unifying the titles against Sean Porter, September 28th. October 10th, he suffered a horrific car accident. With that said, he said that he's doing all the heavy lifting. His pay-per-view numbers are showing it. And this fight with Danny Garcia more than likely is going to do at least 350,000 pay-per-view buys. If nothing less than curiosity, right? Everybody wants to see, is he going to be the same? That car accident he suffered was horrific. Most people didn't even think that he would be the same. Most people thought that he may not even return to the sport of boxing. So with that said, Errol Spence feels like he's doing all the heavy lifting. And he could be on the verge of facing former 8-division world champion, Filipino superstar, iconic boxer, who is currently the WBA welterweight world champion, who defeated undefeated unified WBA, WBC superstar welterweight world champion boxer Keith one-time Thurman, and he defeated 4-division world champion superstar boxer Adrian the Problem Broner in his last 2 fights. With that said, we already know Manny Pacquiao is a pay-per-view superstar. Okay, he's a boxing legend. He's an icon in the sport of boxing. Okay, with that said, they're both en route to trying to secure a Manny Pacquiao fight. Terence Crawford recently responded to that. And now Terence Crawford, on an interview he's doing, he stated that he is no longer that intrigued by the Errol Spence fight. He says, I don't think that fight is going to happen. He stated that Errol Spence is saying 60-40. Well, it has to be 60-40 in my favor now. So I saw a lot of people, Mixed Boxing Baby, he's doing an interview with, I saw a lot of people saying that Errol Spence didn't want the fight because Errol Spence was asking for 60-40. He was pricing himself out. Well, now Terence Crawford has stated that it has to be 60-40 in my favor because his accomplishments are short-lived. He said in his short career, he hasn't accomplished near nothing that I have accomplished in this sport of boxing. He says, everybody says I haven't fought anybody. I came from 130. I dominated at 130. I dominated at 135. I dominated at 140. I dominated at 147. Excuse me. I dominated. He said started at 130, dominated at 135, 40, and 47. Obviously, he became undisputed. He became world champion at 35. So yes, Terence Crawford That's why he's widely considered the best fighter, the best boxer in the world. So Terence Crawford is stating that, yes, he is the big dog in these negotiations, in this situation, because of his accomplishments. He says, then everybody talks about my lack of high quality opponents at welterweight. He states, but if you put them in a ring with them, would these guys dominate all of these guys that I dominated? Then he says, I'm no longer that interested in this Errol Spence fight. He says, before, I used to be intrigued when his name come up. He said, now I'm not that intrigued, and I see a lot of people saying and claiming that I need Errol Spence. I don't need Errol Spence, is what he said. He says, I don't need Errol Spence in my career, for my career. I don't need Errol Spence. I never needed Errol Spence. I just wanted the Errol Spence fight. So he's saying that I don't need him. It wasn't a must. It was just it was intriguing due to the fact that everybody was saying that this is the biggest fight in the sport of boxing, which it still is. And a part of me feels like Terence Crawford is building this fight, right? Terence Crawford recently stated that he wanted to fight, if he had 4-fight layout, he wanted to fight Manny Pacquiao next in his next fight. Then after that, he wanted to fight Errol Spence. Then after that, he wanted to fight Danny Garcia. Then after that, he wanted to close with Keith Thurman and call it quits. Terence Crawford also made mention that it's a strong possibility that he wouldn't even be boxing right now if it wasn't for the fact that he had to put food on his family's table. So he stated that I probably wouldn't even be boxing right now if it wasn't for my family. And I can respect that, right? Terence Crawford, he has a lot of people he's taking care of. It's not that they're counting on him, but, he's just being a man, right? That's just what men do. So he has the opportunity and he has the skill set. He has a special skill set where he could feed his family, and that's what Terence Crawford is doing. So I would have to respect that as a man, and he's using the sport of boxing to do so. He's putting food on their table and making sure everybody's good. With that said, for his legacy, he is coming to Errol Spence's backyard. He has come into Errol Spence's neighborhood. He is coming to Errol Spence's house. And you can't come in Errol Spence's house. Like one of his close friends stated, in Andre S.O.G. Ward, who's retired, undefeated, 32-0. Injuries prevented us from seeing even more greatness than we've witnessed. But Andre Ward made a statement when he moved up to light heavyweight, and he said, there's no way I'm coming to your neighborhood, coming to your block, or coming in your house and not going to see you, when it referred to him fighting at the time unified light heavyweight world champion Sergey Crusher Kovalev. Everybody was saying Andre Ward is dragging his feet when he moved up from 168 to 175. And they said that when he was having tune-ups, getting ready, getting himself acclimated to 175, everybody was in a rush to see Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev. And everybody started to say, well, Andre Ward is ducking Sergey Kovalev. He's avoiding Sergey Kovalev. And Andre Ward said, oh, don't worry, that fight is coming. There's no way I'm coming to your block and not going to see you. So here's where Terence Crawford, I believe, is incorrect as far as a fan boxing pundit standpoint, right? When you come into somebody else's neighborhood, this has always been, like he stated, he came up from 130, 135, 140, 47. He started at lower weight classes. Now he ended up in this welterweight division. This is Errol Spence division. Errol Spence has been in this campaign in this division his entire career. Keith Thurman has been campaigning in this welterweight division his entire career. Sean Porter, for the most part, has been campaigning for the majority of his career, because I think at one point in time, Keith Thurman and Sean Porter had fought at 54. But for the most part, their notoriety, they're campaigning at 47. Danny Garcia came up to 47. When he came up to 47, he stepped foot on their block. He had to come and see them. Terence Crawford, I think that he's getting this. Yes, he has accomplished a lot. He's knocked out every opponent he's faced at the welterweight division since making his debut against Jeff Horn, the man who beat Manny Pacquiao for his WBO title. And Terence Crawford took the WBO title from Jeff Horn. And he's knocked out Jeff Horn. Then he knocked out Jose Benavidez. Then he knocked out Amir Khan. Then he knocked out Igis Kavalauskas. Then he knocked out Kell Brook. So 5 back-to-back knockouts. We understand all Terence Crawford accomplishments. But when you make your debut, when you step foot on somebody else's block, you're going to have to see the man who runs that block. And that's what's taking place here. That's what the fans are calling for. That's what the boxing pundits are calling for. They want to see Terence Crawford visit the man who runs that block when he steps foot on that block. Right? It's like you can't make your way. Remember that Bruce Lee movie when he had the Game of D, when he moved up, you know, he kept going up levels. He kept going up the stairs. And as he went up the stairs, he kept, you know, stopping and he had to fight somebody on that level. Then he moved up to the next level, and he had to fight somebody on that level. And then he moved up to the next level, and he had to fight somebody on that, until he got to the last level, who was the master. And then he had to visit that master and defeat the master. That's what we want from Terence Crawford. You came to welterweight, you got to visit all those fighters at welterweight, defeat those fighters. You can't defeat the guys on the lower level and then not go visit the masters of this. You can't visit, you know, the sergeant at arms, and you can't visit the soldiers without seeing the president. You got to visit them all. That's all the fans want, because this is considered the biggest fight in the sport of boxing. That's all the fans want. So now Terence Crawford is saying it got to be 60-40 in his favor, or there is no fight. And he says more than likely it ain't gonna be no fight. So let's see how this all plays out. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV. All one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Maybe make sure y'all like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.